Aloha.
Aloha.
That's Hawaiian for we here, you not.
Well, it's been an exciting couple of days, huh?
Yeah. Really, the whole theme for this week was not sweating the small stuff, basically. And I tell you what, you go on a 14, 16-hour travel day with a 3-hour flight and an 8.5-hour flight with your kids, and you quickly learn that, man, there's a lot of small stuff not to sweat.
Yes, I would totally agree. And I would like to point out, I did pretty well
Yeah, you did.
until.
But remember, you were sitting by yourself. I had all the kids, and I was like, you sit.
That's not how it was on the
That's
way
how
there.
Fair, Bo. Fair.
You were like on the other side of the plane. The way that it was arranged was really wonky. We did not book our own, we did not book our own seats. So here's how it was. The 3 rows, I was by a window, Kenton was by a window in front of me, and then Eva was by a window in front of him.
All by
Adam
themselves.
was on the other side of the plane, right? So like,
Blissfully ignorant.
we weren't with our own kids. It was the first time ever that they had basically flown by themselves. Now, granted, I was behind Kenton, so like they were passing me back stuff to open.
Yeah,
Here, Mom, open this bag of Doritos.
Feeding gummy bears.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it was. But it was still a little nerve-wracking for me. And let's see, we had a major delay.
That's right. A hailstorm hit our plane, and that made us not be able to get on in Dallas. And they threatened to unload everybody else off the plane. And so there's something that might have been a small stuff, but
Yeah.
not necessarily.
Yeah, so I mean, we had a lot of opportunities to kind of have a little bit of a panic attack. Excuse us while on live Facebook, my husband orders a drink.
Hi.
Go ahead.
Can I have a bikini blonde?
Of course.
Yes, can I have a pina colada?
Absolutely. Would you like to put
Thank
this
you.
on a room number?
Yes.
Yes.
60, 70.
Got it.
Thank you. Life's happening, people.
Don't smell the small stuff like a Facebook Live.
That's right. So, a delay out of Greenville.
Mm-hmm.
Seats that were not where we thought they were.
Huge delay out of Dallas.
Children who were like, I think I'm going to throw up.
Yeah.
Delay out of Dallas. We were like running to our connection,
So, but
right?
here's kind of what we learned. I mean, all of those like small stuff actually really helped us, right? The delay out of Dallas made it so we didn't miss our connection.
Right.
I mean, it turns out there's
It
always
all-
a silver lining to all this stuff.
It all comes out in the wash, right? I mean, at the end of the day, everything is so minimal in the big scheme of things that even Elle said last week, like, you got to keep your eye on the bigger picture and not let yourself get too worked up. Now, again, all that being said, there is a breaking point by the end of the night. My kids were pretty horrible people. But to their credit, they've done really well up to what was their 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, 1 a.m.
Yeah, and then Mama kind of lost it. But I think they deserved it.
They did.
So sometimes you kind of got to lose it so that they believe that you're kind of scary.
Do you want to hear what your son said about that last night?
Oh gosh, I don't even want to know. Is it going to embarrass me?
Probably. He's like, sometimes a mama just got to get scary, Daddy.
He did not
He
tell
did.
you that.
He said sometimes a mama just has to get scary sometimes.
Well, there you go. Those are very wise words. So
I asked him, did it work? He's like, oh yeah.
I asked him one time if he thought I was strict. And he was like, no. And then I said, Eva, Kenton doesn't think I'm strict. And she's like, shh, whatever. Yes, you are.
By the way, I want to show you our, that's what we got the thing set now as a beer glass.
Yeah.
So that's pretty sweet. Don't sweat the small stuff.
Don't
right?
sweat the small
Use
stuff.
Use a beer glass.
Yeah. In fact, our children are old enough now that we can leave them in the room and they can call us if they need anything. Like, they have cell phones. It's not that big of a stretch for us to just walk out for a few minutes and do a Facebook Live and hang with you guys. So life is a changing, and again, it's just too short to get worked up and lose those really important moments. Now, you
Yes.
don't have this same problem that I have, this sort of type A perfectionist situation, right?
I'm blessed to have a good enough attitude, right?
You think that's what it is? Thank
Thank you.
you. Awesome. Beautiful.
Cheers.
Cheers.
No, so I do not have that kind of thing, but I do get obsessed when the strategic vision isn't coming together. When I know that
Yeah.
there's 700 things that have to align and they're not aligning, and it puts my giant strategic vision at risk, that's when I begin to get worked up, which sucks because the things I typically get worked up about are other people's responsibilities that they're not doing
Yeah.
to
I do
my
that too.
belief system, right? And so it's very difficult when I'm obsessed about that because there's absolutely nothing I can do.
Yeah,
So-
you had a problem with that with coaching too. Like somebody's like, this isn't happening. You're like, well, I coached you on doing such and such, but you didn't do it. So it gets you really frustrated.
Yeah, that's why I can't coach Little League, those kids.
No, I mean professional coaching.
Yeah, but I'm talking the same kind of thing. It's the stuff that gets to me is the stuff that's usually out of my control, which means it's the most ridiculous thing for me to get worked up about because it's literally just a giant waste of time and energy. So one of the things I've really gotten good at is I allow it to happen, but then I quickly frame it and switch perspectives and say, you know what? I have a really proven track record that things do work out, and I'm creative and awesome enough that I know that I'll be able to handle how this thing goes sideways. And if I keep my eyes down the hill when I'm skiing rather than at my ski tips, then I'm going to be able to get there just fine. So it still happens, but I have an approach to it now where I'm like, if I, it's words to power. If I know that the goal is important and I'm going to hit that goal, then, man, everything else is just details and they'll come together.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to talk about a couple more things before we start kind of getting into what's happening next week with WLE. By the way, welcome to all you new folks, you DCers, you golden children. I'm so glad to have you. I've loved interacting with you guys all week, and Adam has too.
We
And
brought
it's been
the,
so much fun to be able to have a little bit of give and take and talk about possums with David. Like I'm down. I'm loving it. But as far as this don't sweat the small stuff thing, I wanted to talk really quickly about if you feel like loaded question. If you feel like it's helpful when I see you freaking out to be like, don't freak out.
God, no. No, that's the worst thing I want to hear.
How can I help you when you're starting to sweat?
You're going to ask me a couple questions. You're going to come up to me and say, hey, Adam, because I love you, I'm picking up on some stuff. Do you want me to listen? Do you want me to empathize? Do you want my advice? Or you just want me to hold you? Right? I want you to ask me those things because there's some times
I
where,
say, how can I help you?
yeah, it's not good enough.
But
I
I'm
want
not
you to
being
do
like,
it my way.
do you want me to hold you? Like my big man child.
No, like you're husky, hairy, beastie man.
That you are. And that you are.
But that's the thing is like, ask me what I need, and it really helps if you frame it. And maybe 4 things is too much. The golden rule of 3. Do you want me to listen? Do you want advice? Or you just want me to hold your hand? You just want me to be in your space so you don't feel alone. Or I guess the last one is now a good time to leave you alone and give you some space, right?
Well, and we did have some of that this week. Adam's mom has been really sick, and this week she was hospitalized. And that
Melting right now.
is not just something that you're sweating,
It's melting.
like that's something that's a little bit bigger of a deal. And we've never navigated these waters before, so we don't really know what to do or how to be there for each other. And that's what I tried to do, is just say, can I hug you? Like, is it okay?
That's the way you first started was, behold, I am a nurse and I have all the details about all the things. And now let me give all of those things to you. And I'm like, no details. I don't want the details. Just let this thing happen. And that was a thing I really respect Carrie for, is when I told her, no, please stop giving me information, she did it.
Y'all don't know how hard that is for me. Y'all don't know how hard that is for me. Lord have mercy.
Yeah, because I was like,
sweat the small stuff.
well, for me, it's all small stuff because I can get all the medical information in the world. I don't have a dang clue her kid's sitting by, so I'm not I don't have a clue how to actually process all that. So getting a tidal wave of information that I know nothing about how to process is just
get it.
piling on a lot of small stuff. And so don't sweat the small stuff for me in that case is the big thing is my mom's in the hospital.
And you just need to know how to love her in the situation that
Yep.
she's in. It doesn't matter if it's this or it's that or it's this.
Exactly
I get
right.
it. I get it. I get it. And I hope that you felt, I don't know if respected is the word, in the way that I handled it.
Well,
but
by stepping in and saying, I have a skill set and I have a authority and expertise in what your mother's going through, that let me know that if I had questions and if push came to shove, when it was time to act, I could depend on it. And so that was very good. But, you know, we're sitting there in the car and she's like, blah, 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 congestive heart failure, doom, gloom, death, and dying. I'm like, what?
these are just terms to me. I don't think about them being a surprise. But if they were shocking to you, and I did not mean to hurt you in that way. So I guess don't sweat the small stuff.
Well, small stuff can be different things for different folks.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
empathy.
you really have to kind of understand what that means for your partner too. So
Like
maybe
I did that shoulder
a
thing.
little shoulder. You see some little sunburn right there. I earned that. But anyway, the other thing that I wanted to talk briefly about was the way that I've talked with some of you personally, one-on-one, just about the similarities that we have in personality. You know, I tend to be an extremely passionate person. That means that at times I can have
A
very
flare-up?
intense
A flare-up?
reactions.
Is it a
You
flare-up?
know, hello Renee. I can have some very intense reactions to things. So I wanted to share with you guys some of the. There's a way to like push things and be like,
No,
hi.
you're gonna knock over our beer.
But we're the situation is very fragile right now. We don't want to mess with it. I wanted to share with you just kind of what I do when I feel myself getting having my emotions heightened in the middle of a situation. I actually visualize as I'm amping up and I'm starting to amp up. I physically imagine myself turning down a dial.
That dial goes up to 11, by the way.
I was going to say it went up to like 1,000, but I physically imagine myself turning that down and then turning up a different dial, be it whatever you want. Maybe it's joy or smiling, or I'm turning down the angsty and I'm turning up the happy. I actually imagine myself doing that within a situation, turning maybe for one of my children.
Just practicing. I'm trying to turn my dials too.
You're trying to turn somebody's dials. But even like turning on the love, if I was going to deal with a situation, how can I deal with it in a loving way rather than a reactive way? Some other ways that I start thinking about when I'm, feeling a bit of temper coming on. That's a little exaggerated, but I don't have fits of temper. What do you think?
You have breaking points. And
I
if
do.
you don't turn the dial, that girl almost fell out. And if that turning point, I don't know. The stairs are treacherous.
And she was like, those old people were talking about me.
So if you don't turn the dial down as you're ramping up, there's a tipping point where
Yes, I
you
do.
know there's no such thing as a small thing because everything is just like
Well, I do a lot of visualization work for myself in the moment, but also in my own periods of meditation throughout a day. But if I'm in a moment where I'm feeling very, like things are starting to get a little more inflamed, I actually imagine blowing out a candle, blowing out a match, pouring water on a fire, watching smoke, I actually envision myself turning off a light switch, unplugging something, anything to sort of turn that off. And as I'm thinking about those things, by the end of my imagining all those things in a row, I've calmed down, sort of by accident. And I've used it with my kids some too, this visualization stuff, and it seems to help them too. So whether or not you use it, whether or not it helps you, I just wanted to kind of drop that little tidbit of something that helps me.
Yeah. So for me, when I'm ramping up, it's typically.
Or you could just drink more.
Oh, it's my girl. You know, once upon a time I asked her, because the kids were young, I was like, what do you do for fun these days? And we were golfing at Friday morning at the golf course nearby. We got a membership at. Neither one of us like golfing, but we enjoy drinking outside. And she's like, am I a bad person because I said day drinking? And I was like, I love you so much.
Well, that was a different
we've aged
lifetime.
out of that. We've aged out of
I don't
that.
do that anymore.
So I digress.
Really don't.
So here's where, so Carrie tends to flare up and she has to turn the knobs down and blow out the candle and pour on the water. I am a slow burn that steadily goes. And the things that I have to be worried about is that little voice in the back of my head that is a negative voice. You should be worried about that. You're not doing enough. You have da. And what I have been taught by my coach is, look, you can't stop negative emotions and negative thoughts from entering your head. It's like a bird flying over your head, and you can hear all the birds around us here. So you can't stop that bird from flying over your head. But what you can do is if that bird lands on your head, you don't have to let it stay there. You can knock it away. You don't have to let it be build a nest there. So for me, when I realize that I've been thinking the same negative thought, over and over again, I began to identify that as a bird that keeps landing on my head. And as soon as I get it in my mind that is a negative thing and I switch it, my perspective, I think that's the secret for small stuff. You don't sweat the small stuff when you can switch your perspective to have whatever that thing is that's bothering you, and you move it from being a really significant thing that keeps coming up in your life to this perception change where, you know what, honestly, that's just not a very healthy thought. And if I really get down to it, it's not based on facts, it's based off of truths that are modified by my beliefs.
Yeah. I like that. I like that idea of, noting even. That's where my mind went. That's pretty interesting. Wonder what that could actually mean. So I think that it's a very good exercise to kind of examine how you respond. Huh?
That's cheers.
Okay.
Not
Cheers.
Not you. Sorry, you were on the flow. I should have said nothing.
I may have had more of these today than I should have. Anyway.
Or maybe not enough.
In the heat, nonetheless. But we'll go ahead and start wrapping it up for today. As you can probably imagine, the thing we're going to be talking about this upcoming week is chill. Now, for those of you who haven't been with us for a while, let me tell you, cheers, thanks, Renee. Cheers. For those of you who haven't been with us for very long, Adam and I have a methodology that kind of gives you a little bit of a little bit of a thermostat for where you are in your relationship, and it measures your communication skills, your community surrounding you, and your ability to chill separately and together.
In defining chill, for me, it's how do I recharge? How do I relax? How do I find joy again to fill me back up? Because if we're always pouring out, but we never pour in, right? And so the goal is to have so much joy and so much chill pouring in that the cup overflows onto a giant pan, and you can just continuously give nonstop because you're continuously filling yourself up. And so chill together is how do we do that in a way that I'm not filling my cup up while I'm draining hers, right? That is not a good idea.
Right. Or that you do it in an unhealthy way. Adam has shared that his time away in previous years involved a lot of alcohol, and it became very destructive to us as a family. So, I mean, that it's healthy, that you know what you like separately and you know what you like together, and that you're willing to kind of live a little bit outside of your box to have new experiences together. So today we saw sea turtles.
We did. I put the video up of Carrie touching a sea turtle. I took my daughter scuba diving for her first time. She got a nosebleed underwater. That was pretty neat. That's when you know.
10. I mean, I'm surprised that they even let her go.
Yeah. And so we had to shoo sea turtles out of the way as we went in there. And so
So
when we got
amazing.
back up, sorry, that's perfect. We grabbed Carrie and we're like, you gotta come see these sea turtles. And there was one left. And dude,
Have any of you seen my animal face? I have an animal face, and I'm gonna make a compilation one of these days. I love animals, especially animals that I don't see a lot of in
riding on an
IRL.
elephant in Bangkok,
Yes.
touching the turtle today,
And the lemur.
lemurs on Necker Island. Did you guys know we went to Necker Island?
I mean, you're wearing the shirt. Anyway, today a turtle got the Carrie face, and I just get so excited about that kind of stuff. So it's just really awesome that we get to have these experiences together, that we get to have those with our kids. It's just really, really special and important. Adam and I have had so many things going on over the last few months, and all of it good. Like, all of it good. I should be able to say that my life is awesomely, fantastically wonderful. It is. However, I do think it's possible to drown in your blessings. If you are not in a position that you can handle the good coming at you at a rate that your body can handle, then it's not going to live to its full potential through you.
That's true.
You have a duty to yourself, to your family, to figure out
Your organizations,
yes.
everything.
I mean, because there is a full-on trickle-down effect. If you don't figure out how to do it, if you don't figure out how to do your own self-care, then everything suffers. So that's what we're talking about next week. Yay. So, again, we just really, really appreciate you guys. I would try and show you where we are a little bit, but I'm afraid to mess much with the Facebook thing.
Yeah, we'll call it.
Do you want to brave it?
No, we'll call it good and then post some stuff, some examples of us chilling throughout the week. And we're going to kind of want to see some of your examples of chilling.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
this
absolutely.
is going to be a fun week, and hopefully we all share some ideas on outside the box joy searching and chilling together and separate.
Yep. Awesome. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yours is already gone.
You talk a lot.
He's not wrong. Bye, guys.